We just got our hands on the all-new DOT-compliant LP6. This is a headlight that's DOT-compliant that can go in your Jeep or your motorcycle. However, after I ordered it and I tested it, I came to the conclusion that it's actually not very good. And I want to watch what I say here because they did spend 4 years developing this thing, and initially, right when I turned it on, I realized it's not very bright. And there's a good reason for it. It's so that you don't go above the exceeded limits from DOT. The DOT FMVMSS 108 code is very strict about how bright a headlight can be at certain points down the road. And it just so happens that's a major issue. In this video, I am going to show you the features because I do think that this LP6 looks really cool. When you mount it on the front of your vehicle, it's pretty stylish, I'll give them that. I'm then going to compare it to other products like the Morimoto Super7 just to show you how bright or how dim it is in this video. I don't know if it's appropriate to call a headlight housing sexy, but in my opinion, this is sexy. When it's off, it's all blacked out and it doesn't quite look like the LP6 that we've seen. You see how the LP6 has much more chrome inside? It's much more blacked out. So in my opinion, it looks so much better than the LP6. Also, you're gonna notice the daytime running light. When you turn on the daytime running light, it's extremely bright, but there is an amber one like you see here, or a white. You can't switch between amber or white. You do have to purchase an amber one or purchase the white one. Make sure you get the right SKU when you're checking out so you get the color of your choice. Now this is something really silly, and that is having 6 projectors inside of here to produce your low beam and your high beam. The high beam has 2 dedicated projectors down here. So when you hit low beam, you got all of these that come on, and then when you hit high beam, you can see it right here, the 2 come on. It does produce a good light output. I'm gonna show you guys that in just a second. I'm then gonna compare it to what I have installed right here. This is the Morimoto Super7. It doesn't quite look as wild as the Baja designs. It does have one massive projector that does both low beam and high beam. And then we've also installed that halo kit that goes around here. Thankfully, that halo kit is an RGB halo and it looks super cool. It definitely makes this Super7 stand out more, in my opinion, than the LP6. Full disclosure, Headlight Revolution is owned by the same organization that owns Morimoto Lighting, and I'm not trying to be biased here. I just wanted to have a good product to compare this to the LP6 over there, the DOT-compliant LP6. And I found it kind of funny that this has been on the market forever and it is DOT compliant. And so I had to include it in this video. If you want either one of them, they're gonna be on our website, headlightrevolution.com. So whatever you think is best, get that. Now for the fun part, we're gonna do the light outputs. And as you can see, it's controlled. It actually is not scattering the light all over the place. So at least they did a very good job of having those projectors be refined. As you can see here, this box right here is the hotspot. That's that punch of light that goes down the road. When you're driving off-road or you're driving on the street, a long ways down the road, this is the little illumination that's going to help you see better. And then obviously it's a super wide beam pattern. Is it as wide as the Super7? I didn't want to do this as a comparison video. I simply wanted to review the LP6 just to see if it's any good. But I think there's a lot of brighter options out there than this that have been out for years and years. So I want to show you guys really quick. We've got the LP6. This is what it looks like. And immediately after, this is what the Morimoto Super7 looks like. You're gonna notice something right away, and that is the Super7 is much, much brighter than this. I used the digital lux meter to measure the actual usable brightness at the brightest point on this wall, and with the LP6 I measured 346. This was on low beam. This is the Morimoto Super7. It still fits in a Jeep. It can still fit in a motorcycle. And on low beam, on the brightest point, I measured 872 maximum lux, which was 152% brighter than the Baja designs. On high beam, the Baja designs didn't do much better. It was 601 maximum lux. Whereas the Morimoto Super7 on high beam, I measured 1080 maximum lux. So it was 80% brighter. So do I wish that the Baja designs was a little bit brighter than this? Well, absolutely. Is it a wider beam pattern? Let me show you that now. Now to get the width, I'm not being scientific at all. I'm literally taking this table and pushing it closer to the wall using one headlight with the power supply powered up just to get the width really quick. You're gonna notice something. So what you see here up top is the Super7, and down below we've got the DOT compliant LP6. Straight away, for what it looks like, This is much wider. The Super 7 is much wider, and that is because the initial beam pattern is much wider. The bright white is much wider on the wall. It's spanning the entire white wall that we've got here. This white wall is like 40 feet wide. It's a very wide beam pattern, as is the LP6. You're also going to notice the cutoff line right here. This is very smooth on the LP6, whereas there is a cutoff line that comes down, and that's so you can align these properly, raise them up, and not blind oncoming drivers, and still be DOT FMVMSS 108 compliant. Now, one thing I wanted to dive into though is that the width is not the whole story, because there is a daytime running light on the LP6 that is better than almost any daytime running light that I've seen on an off-road pod light or a headlight, and that is this orange area that you see here. That's just a fraction of it. It's really hard to show on this wall, but I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna take this off and show you the daytime running light, because it is wild, and it's giving you a lot more surface area of light, which I've always praised the LP6 for. The surface area and usable light when you're out in the woods or you're off-road is so much more useful than something that has a bright center hotspot, and that's about it. Now, Baja Designs definitely knows what they're doing when it comes to the daytime running light though. This orange area over here is all emitted from the daytime running light. Obviously, if you had the white version, it's gonna be a white daytime running light. I'm actually seeing a huge brightness increase right here just with the DRL being on. When I shut this off, it looks like this, and you can really see the shape of the orange DRL. You've got this hexagon look on the wall. It's super bright. You do see it in person. It's a little hard to show on camera, but it's really bright and really wide. It gives you a lot more ambient light on the width as well. A quick observation, if you were to install the LP6 inside of this Jeep JL, it's a little bit recessed, which means that these side shooters are cut off, which means you're not getting its full potential. You're not getting that entire width that you have out of these side shooters. They're very bright, like I said, but if they're cut off halfway, you're losing a lot of that width, and that's the last thing you want. Still, I think it's great because you still got this right here that projected that Baja Designs logo on the wall. It's really bright, and if that was in white, I think that that would help you as well. If you want sheer intensity, the Super 7 definitely blows this sucker out of the water. If you want that ambient light with the daytime running light and all of that, maybe the LP6 is good for you as far as brightness goes. What about warranty? The Morimoto Super 7 comes with a 5-year warranty, and the Baja Designs LP6 has a limited lifetime warranty. The Baja Designs is a little bit more expensive at the time of this video compared to the Morimoto Super 7. If your vehicle that you're trying to install this LP6 into is not a Jeep, you got to be really cautious as to how much space you have, because as you can see with the Super 7, it's much more thick than this. And I've noticed in some motorcycles, the Super 7 doesn't quite fit unless you modify the housing, because it's going to be sticking out a little bit, and that's the last thing you want. So if you're concerned about how much space you have, maybe the LP6 is a little bit more right for you. So my final thoughts. In my personal opinion, and this is gonna get me in some hot water, let your headlights be headlights, and let your off-road pod lights be off-road pod lights. I am a very bad salesman because I can assure you this product is going on our website, headlightrevolution.com. But in my personal opinion, I wouldn't recommend getting that one over, say, the Super 7. Point being, it's not nearly as bright. Yeah, you get some more ambient light, but why don't you use the LP6? That's a very good product from Baja Designs, and just slap them on a roof bar like we got the big bangers up there. There are so many other areas to mount an off-road pod light on your Jeep, if you're installing this on a Jeep, that I would highly much more recommend that than getting something that's toned down to be DOT compliant. I don't personally think that it makes any sense to have something that's not as bright as, say, the Super 7 and install them in your headlights. Not to mention, if you did want to put this in your Jeep, you want style points. And as you can see with that RGB halo from the Morimoto Super 7, a lot of you guys will rather have that than that, especially when you click the link in the description below and see the differences in price. Go to headlightrevolution.com right now to get the best lighting for your Jeep or any other vehicle that uses a 7-inch round headlight.